What's up, San Francisco, Bay Area, History of the Bay Day. Super honored to be here. My name is Tanish Hollins. I'm the Executive Director of Californians for Safety and Justice. I'm also a Frisco native. Hooray, give it up to Frisco one time. And I'm the co-founder of San Francisco Black Wall Street. Everything that History of the Bay Day encompasses is something that I wholeheartedly stand for. We are honored to be partners and to be sponsoring the podcast. Shout out to Dregs. Y'all give it up for Dregs and the whole team for putting this day together, because this is important. One of the reasons why we thought it was important to partner for this podcast and to celebrate this day is because of the power of the culture. And a lot of people minimize the power of our culture. But we tell stories of the struggle. We tell stories of how we come over. We bring our art, we bring our music, and we bring people together through the culture. And that is a big part of the work that we do. We change laws at the state level to give people their rights back. If you've been impacted by the criminal justice system, if you believe in second chances, let me hear you make some noise. We also work to heal communities, so people who have been victims of crime, like my family, losing 2 brothers to gun violence, we go to the state capitol and we change laws to make sure that people from our community get the help that they need and deserve. Let's get up for healing. And this is important to the culture, because in the conversation that you hear on this podcast, I'm sure there are names of many of our culture leaders that are not here with us today because they've been victims of crime. Shout out to Mac Dre, rest in peace. Shout out to Tupac Shakur, rest in peace. How many of our people have been impacted by addiction? How many people of our people have been hurt by incarceration? Our work is about bringing those stories to the front and making changes that don't do more harm to our community. So I'm honored to be here. I've done enough talking. I want to kick this off by introducing the 2 folks that are going to hold this down that I have mad respect for and appreciation for in the culture. And I also want to present them with something special with this campaign that we're leading right now called Progress, Not Prisons. Let me hear you say progress, not prisons. Progress, not prisons. The progress that we pushing for is to bring the culture, community, and healing back to the front of the conversation. Without further ado, I want to invite to the stage Dregs One and the homeboy Chuy Gomez.
Hey, Midway, what's up, y'all? Make some noise, Midway. Damn, we done come a long way with this podcast thing, man. It's beautiful to see y'all. Make some noise for yourselves, man. I said make some noise for yourselves. It's beautiful to see y'all, man. And we're here with the one and only, the legend, Chuy Gomez. This is History of the Bay. If you grew up in the Bay, you know this man's face, his voice, his brand, everything. What's up with you, Chew?
Man, happy to be alive, bro.
That's right.
We losing many soldiers out here on these streets, so
That's
happy
right.
to be alive, happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
That's right, man. I mean, we had to get a real special guest since we're doing it live at History of the Bay Day for the very first time. Thank you again to our sponsors, Californians for Safety and Justice. And I just want to say, starting on that note, since they're doing a lot of work around prison reform and rights for victims and anti-violence prevention, I want to know, like, how have you been impacted by some of those issues?
I mean, we've all had family members incarcerated. So, you know, personally myself, I've had family members that have been incarcerated. I visited the jails with the United Players on several occasions, both the YA and San Quentin. And it's amazing to see the work that's being done on the inside to help them, you know, get established when they come on the outside. And so big shout out to United Players. But we've all been impacted by it, bro.
No doubt. And one thing that's really interesting, too, I mean, we're going to get to some positive stuff, too. I mean, this is positive because we're building on it. But, you know, hip-hop is, like, associated with violence a lot, which I think is whack. Because if you look around here, this is all beautiful. This is all positivity. This is all good things happening. But what do you think about that? Like, is there a connection between violence and hip-hop, and how have you seen that affect our rap community, too?
I mean, I think for a long time it's been associated because, you know, everything's turfy. So, you know, it's like whether you're from Harbor Road or Fillmore or Lakeview or from Oakland or whatever. I mean, it's really turfy. So, I mean, you want to rep yours. I know I want to rep mine, so you rep yours, but sometimes that conflicts. So when you got two different turfs in the same place, it gets kind of tough. But it's gotten way better than it used to be. In the 90s, you couldn't go to the same place with these people in the same space. Now it's gotten beautiful. I mean, now you see tons of different colors in the audience. You see tons of different turfs, and it's getting better. We're not at 100%, but we're definitely getting way better.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And on that note, since you talk about how it was back in the 90s, man, when exactly did you start getting on the radio waves?
Well, I started early. I mean, I had a love for radio. I'm actually, one of my icons, Homero Campos, this guy that I used to listen to with my mom, just passed away today, which is crazy.
Sorry
So
for your loss,
Homero
man.
Campos passed today, but he introduced me to music, and I used to listen to Spanish music with my mom. But later on, got into high school and started listening to KSOL and KDIA and KPOO, I got a little affinity, a love for music. And a friend of mine, Tony Silva, was neighbors with Marcos Gutierrez, who was the big shot at KSOL 107.7 back in the day. And so I met him at a party, and he invited me to come down and intern and hang out at the radio station. So it was, it's who you know, not what you know.
That's right.
So, I tell people a lot of times doors are going to open up for you, but it's what you do when you walk through the door. Because the door can open, and you can go and sit on the chair and do nothing, or you can go through the door and do something. And so I took that opportunity when he opened the door and invited me to the radio station to kind of put my best foot forward, and it's been nonstop since that day.
That's right, that's right. If you grew up hearing Chuy on the radio, make some noise, y'all. 1,000%, man. Right? Hey, I want to know, man, you've interviewed some legendary artists from not just the Bay, but around the whole world, really. Well, who are some of the notable people that you had to cross paths with on the air before?
I mean, everybody from Faith Evans to Rihanna to Biggie. Got a chance to talk to Rapid Forte, JT the Bigger Figure, all the guys coming up. Because in the 90s, we kind of all came up together. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the guys that you grew up listening to came through the radio station. But on a more national level, when I used to go to like the BET Awards or the Grammy Awards, I got a chance to sit down with, Marky Mark. I got a chance to
with the Funky Bunch?
With the Funky Bunch, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so I got a chance to meet a lot of people from everybody from Vanilla Ice to Hammer to Nice and Smooth. I mean, the whole plethora of people. So everybody's been memorable to me, but the one that obviously, as a big fan of Ice Cube, was probably the biggest. I almost froze up, didn't know what to say because he was my favorite.
Was this like early Ice Cube, like NWA, Jerry Curl, Ice Cube?
This was right at the end, right when he was going solo. I never met him when he was with NWA. I met him when he was going solo. So,
okay.
He was a little mad at that time.
He was a little, yeah.
He was a little mad.
That's right. What up, y'all? Just wanted to let you know once again that the History of the Bay podcast is sponsored by Californians for Safety and Justice, and History of the Bay Day would not have happened without them. This partnership is really important to me on a personal level because it's always dope to use my platform to support organizations like CSJ. I really believe in the work that CSJ is doing, including the Progress Not Prisons initiative. Here's why. California spends $50 billion a year on the criminal justice system. Just redirecting 1% of that could provide healthcare coverage to over 1 million people without insurance, shelter for over 50,000 homeless folks, and tuition for over 62,000 university students. These are all things that would actually prevent more crime from happening in our communities. CSJ wants to see these funds redirected towards mental health treatment, jobs, addiction treatment, and support for people who have actually been victims of crime. So like I said, these are issues that affect all of us, so it's important that we support the work that Californians for Safety and Justice is doing. Visit safeandjust.org or go to the links in the description of this episode to learn more about CSJ and how you can get involved. You know, one thing about you being on the radio, man, is that you played a role actually in getting a lot of the Bay Area's music heard by more people. Like, what are some of the records that you helped break?
I think as a whole, we at KMEL, when I was at KMEL, we just had a lot of players in place. So we had a lot of DJs, a lot of folks that were in the station that would bring records. So, for instance, if My Emotion heard somebody that he saw blowing up or sounding good or was just killing it at the clubs, he said, we need to play this. On the same note, you had people like Alex Mejia, you had Dave Meyer, some of these other guys. They would contribute too. So it wasn't a Chuy broke it. I got the attention because I was the guy on the radio, but it was so many other players that brought the music to us that helped us present it and expose it on a bigger platform. Because like I said, there was always KPO, Calix, KZSU out in Stanford. And so those stations were already playing a lot of stuff. And those are college stations. But when you get on KMEL and you got a powerhouse behind you, then it gets you a lot more exposure. So, I mean, we definitely took that level to another level.
Is there any record in particular that really you feel proud of, like how you helped get it out there?
5 on It, the remix.
The 5 on It remix.
The 5 on It remix was super exciting when that came out because 5 on It was dope, but when you came out and it was almost like the Flavor in Your Ear remix,
right.
It was just crazy. And 5 on It is just iconic. Another one I'm very proud of is Drew Down Mac of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
All-time favorite, one of my all-time favorite records.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Drew Down. Y'all ready to see Drew Down later today on this same stage? Oh, wait. Pimp of the motherfucking year. I wanted to ask you about some, and we got to honor our legends while we're here on the stage at History of the Bay Day. Yo, how did it feel when Mac Dre made a song called Chuy and put it on his album?
Well, you know, it's crazy. Mac Dre and I had a funny relationship because he was roommates with a buddy of mine named Bijan. When he came out of jail, him and Bijan were roommates. And so Bijan was my buddy, but he's also Mac Dre's buddy. And so I spent some time with him and we hung out. And we just kind of shoot the shit. So we did a bunch of interludes on some of his other albums. But when he did that song, like I didn't even know that he had done it. And they came out and they said, yo, Cuddy, I got something for you. I'm like, oh yeah, what you got? He goes, check out this album. And I'm like, oh snap. And it was like overwhelming. Like, you know, like I've had jingles done by other artists and I played them on the radio, you know, but when it was not only did he do a sort of jingle and a tribute, but he put it on his album, that was major.
Right, yeah, because he actually had that on the Al Boo Boo album.
Right, it was on the album. So it wasn't just like, oh, that's something you can hear on Chuy Show. No, now you can hear it on Chuy Show, but you could play it in your car.
Yeah,
and that was major.
You know, I want to touch on that a little bit because that kind of relates to some of the work that our sponsor, Californians for Safety and Justice, do, because they work with people who are related to victims of street violence. And the loss of Mac Dre, you know, since we're talking about History of the Bay, how did that loss really affect this community, you think?
I think he was on the verge of bubbling, and it's crazy because he's always been dear to me, and I love him as a person, not just as an artist, as a person. But when we had him, he was on the cusp of blowing up. And then when he passed, it's like he didn't get his flowers that he deserved while he was here. So then when he passed and he blew up the way he did and everybody all of a sudden was a Mac Dre fan, it was kind of crazy. Like, where were you at? Where were you hiding at? Why you weren't singing that song a month ago? But it was like, it was sad because, like I said, he didn't get a chance to get his flowers when he deserved them, and he did so much for the culture.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I wanted to highlight that, because it's important to like talk about how these issues really do impact the entire community. But I also feel like by, you know, supporting each other, supporting the families, keeping these names alive, keeping these legacies going, and also taking a stand that, you know, enough is enough with all this street violence and trying to stand for something positive. I think we can actually like honor the legacy of people like that.
We can. We just need to do more work because, like I said, sometimes it's not the whole tree that's bad, just a couple of apples on the tree that make it look bad. And so a lot of us out here really doing positive shit that doesn't get spotlighted. Unfortunately, the media will highlight the bad shit, not the good shit. So that's the unfortunate part. But there are a lot of good people doing good work out here.
Okay, now let's talk about that. Since you said that very important, powerful word, you said the media. What role does the mainstream media have in controlling the narrative of our music, because I feel like when you started, I wouldn't say it was like pirate radio, but it was an underground thing. You had a lot more creative control. You had a lot more of your own opportunities. How did that start to change over time?
Well, because when I first started in radio, you could go see the general manager in the corner office. You know what I'm saying? So the person that owned KMEL, Paulette, was in the corner office. You can go meet the general manager. And then when, like, them other bigger corporations started buying out radio stations and started making them, like, not community-based, that's when you started losing it.
Right.
Because early on, you got to remember, KMEL was playing hip-hop on a commercial level before anybody else. Before there was a Hot 97 in New York, there was a KMEL. And so, like, a lot of stuff that happened because of KMEL. Because radio was getting played only on the college stations and on college level, and you'd hear that at small parties. Even clubs didn't want to play hip-hop. They thought it was a bad thing. So you had little pirate parties that happened where you could hear hip-hop. But when KMEL started playing hip-hop on a major level, it was great. But like I said, then you also had a lot of players that were contributing to making it diverse. So you had different stuff like Souls of Mischief. You had Del the Funky Homo Sapien. You had The Coup. You had Get Low Players. You had RBL. So it was different flavors and gave you an honest sense of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So then it got real corporate and it started mandating different things.
Right.
So that's where stuff kind of changed.
Right. That's crazy, man. And I mean, what do you think it is? You mentioned the diversity though. Like, what do you think it is about the Bay Area that makes what we got going on like so special? Like, what's the ingredients in the sauce?
I think it's the sauce and exactly the sauce and the swag. I mean, a lot of the swag that comes out of the Bay just perforates and goes out to the nation. You know, a lot of people pick up on the swag and they want to feel what's coming out of here, and they don't give you credit for it. But you got to think about it. A lot of that stuff came out of here.
Right.
You know, so
right.
I think that's really what we have here is a lot of swag.
And as someone that's been doing this for so long, from the radio to the parties to online to streaming, where do you see this going in the future?
In the future, I mean, it's open wide right now because there's so many platforms for you to get your music out. So I mean, it's open to everybody. You got things like Twitch. You got a lot of websites that are dedicated to specific music. So whether you're listening to grunge country or you're listening to, you know, horror rap, you know, there's something for everybody. And there's tons of mediums out there for you to get that music. Unfortunately, because radio is radio, they're stuck to their 40 records they rotate for rating purposes, and that's what you get. But there's so many other platforms where you can get music nowadays. And, you know, and if there's stuff that you don't like, you can go to Spotify and Apple Music, create your own playlist, and hear what you want to hear.
No doubt, man. I mean, it's crazy to like talk to you because like you have been part of this. Like I said, for my whole life, I probably called you to request songs back in the day, man. So just while we're here with this platform for History of the Bay Day, I do want to take this opportunity to give you your flowers, bro. To know that you're very appreciated. You played a huge role in this whole thing. The Bay Area would not be the place it is today without you, bro. So salute to you, man.
And that's blessings, though. That is really blessings. I mean, I was in your ear for 30 years, you know, 20 years of them at KMEL, and the new generation don't know who Chuy Gomez is. But it's funny because I got my daughters in high school now, and they're like, Dad, my teacher knows who you are. I said, because your teacher used to run home and watch your dad, and your dad's kind of a big deal. And I know I'm just dad, but your dad's kind of a big deal.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Different generations of this, man. Real quick, I want to see if anybody out there got a question for Chuy Gomez. Anybody out there got something they want to know? When's Volume 3 of the compilation coming out? When's Volume 3 of the compilation coming out? Is that correct? When's Volume 3 of the compilation coming out?
I don't know. I ain't been in the studio in so long. I actually got to get with some peoples because it's funny. When we put those together, I was working with my man, Derek and them, and we put them together. And the other one that we did, the history of the best of the Bay, that one was incredible. We actually had a song that we had made just for that with Digital Underground and them. And so I don't know. Let's talk about that. You know, some people. You know what I'm saying? I like you.
Who else got there? Something they want to say to Chuy, man, real quick while we here. Let it be known. Let it be known. Don't be shy, y'all. Anybody else? Well, shit, I think we might have to.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. What y'all think, man? Make some noise for Chuy Gomez.
They're ready for Lex Jones. That's what they want. They want some Lex Jones.
And once again, thanks to our sponsor, Californians for Safety and Justice. Check them out. We're going to have some materials to distribute, and we're going to keep this thing going. History of the Bay Day. We just getting started.
Congratulations. Volume 2, Volume 3 coming next year.
That's right. Thank you, Chuy.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.